If a person got caught, got convicted, served their sentence, shouldn't that be the end of it?
The Second Chance Coalition, co-founded by Sarah Walker, is blazing a trail for Minnesotans with criminal records who are re-entering society and seek jobs, housing, and the right to vote. 4 years ago, thanks to a spirited lobbying effort and the annual Day on the Hill, when ex-felons make their case to lawmakers, the coalition successfully pushed the state legislature to ban public employers from requiring criminal convictions and arrest records on job applications. Ban the box.
Having a Day on the Hill and hosting community forums, it serves a purpose to move the conversation, but it also provides individuals an opportunity to share their own experience.
Walker has been an advocate for ex-offenders ever since she wrote a paper as a student at Carleton College, which argued that modern-day incarceration and parole is akin to a form of slavery.
There is a huge racial dynamic in who's incarcerated. Minnesota has the second highest racial disparities in the criminal justice system. 1 in 5 African American men are denied the right to vote in Minnesota based on a felony conviction. The criminal justice system has come to represent the nexus of all of our institutional failures. It's where if you have not received adequate education, adequate mental health services, you face racial discrimination, basically all of those cumulative disparities come together in the criminal justice system.
Walker seemed destined to embrace activism to combat disparities within society. She was born in Zambia to an African father and white mother. When she was 3, they moved to Chicago and settled in a deeply segregated neighborhood. There, she saw firsthand the pain of racial disparities. That experience was reinforced when, in 2005, she moved her cancer-stricken mother to a hospital in New Orleans just before Hurricane Katrina arrived. Walker's mom died as residents scrambled to leave the city, and New Orleans became the nation's modern-day poster child for painful racial inequality.
Seeing just the blatant failure at response and the racial dynamics associated with it, that experience, after I came back to complete my graduate work, I honestly fundamentally felt that I had to do something tangible.
In order to break down barriers and promote understanding between urban youth and police departments, Walker has helped arrange canoe trips for the two groups. This year, Walker is lobbying lawmakers to ban the box for private employers as well. The box currently appears on job applications and asks job seekers whether or not they have a criminal record. On April 20th, the Minnesota Senate passed Ban the Box for private employers by a bipartisan vote of 44-16. The measure now moves to the House. The coalition is also pushing to seal juvenile records and ultimately to restore voting rights for ex-felons once they've done their time.
In Minnesota, if you have a felony conviction and you are on probation, parole, or in prison, you're not allowed to vote. And we fundamentally believe that you should be able to vote if you are living in the community. So as long as you're not incarcerated, you should be able to vote. People are returning and they're becoming part of our civic and civil community, and that they need to be treated like citizens. And whether or not you come at it from a social justice angle or a fiscally conservative angle, there is some reason why you should be caring about the system. It costs $35,000 a year to incarcerate a male adult in Minnesota.
Walker's work has empowered ex-offenders like Marvin Clark, who was in and out of prison for 6 years for drug offenses, and is now a leader at Emerge in North Minneapolis, which helps people who were once in his shoes re-enter society.
I'm an ex-career criminal. I'm an ex-drug addict. It'll be 17 years this June as being out of prison. Today, I'm the director of housing. Emerge prides itself in giving a person a hand up and not a handout. And the best reward is to see someone finally make it. Okay, so what? I made some mistakes yesterday. That's not who I am today, and I think that's what Sarah sees too.
It's a myth that felons in Minnesota are mostly urban black men. In fact, most ex-offenders are Caucasians from greater Minnesota. People like Rob Stewart, who did 2 years for drug offenses, and is now getting his master's degree in sociology with a focus on criminal justice at the University of Minnesota.
2006, I received my first felony drug charge. 2007, I received a more severe felony drug charge, and I served 2 years in prison. It was difficult to find a job. 7, 8 years ago, no one was talking about these issues. No one was talking about criminal justice reform. No one was talking about felon voting rights. They're going to have opportunities to get jobs and to, put these criminal offenses behind them and move on with their lives. Opportunities that they wouldn't have if it weren't for Sarah Walker, if it weren't for the Second Chance Coalition.
Through her charisma, passion, and lawyer-like grasp of the issues, Sarah Walker has appealed to and changed minds on both sides of the political aisle. Republicans such as Senator David Senjum routinely speak on the coalition's Day on the Hill.
Who's never made a mistake in life? You know, raise your hand, because there aren't many of us. All of these people are going to get out of prison, get out of jail, whatever the case might be. They're all going to, in fact, be citizens, and we got to make life right for them.
And she's convinced conservatives like Senator Dave Thompson that criminal justice reform and reenfranchising ex-felons makes fiscal sense too.
Sarah approached me, I gave it some thought, and I realized, you know, if a person is released from prison and they have to presumably pay taxes if they get a job, which we want them to do, I see no good reason that they should not be allowed to vote. We should think about our criminal justice system just like we think about our school system or our economic system or anything else, and that is do the right thing as effectively and efficiently as possible. If less people need to be incarcerated because we're over-incarcerating for relatively minor offenses, then we need to put less people away. Most religions, whether Christian or otherwise, have some element of redemption. And I think that, you know, a sense of human fundamental fairness says, look, you know, all of us have come short and failed in one way or another, and that should not impact the rest of our lives.
Walker's lobbying work isn't confined to the state capitol. She has also worked hard to find allies in city government, too. She has one in St. Paul City Councilman Melvin Carter, who has promised to ban the box in the city if the state doesn't do it first.
We bring somebody back into our community and say, we want you to be a productive member of society. Oh, but you can't live here, you can't vote here, and you can't work here. Well, then what's a productive member of society? Got a ban the box ordinance here that we're going to be ready to move forward should the state not act for some reason. I think some people work a job and some people pursue a mission. Sarah is clearly passionate about the work that she does.
Anybody that knows Sarah Walker knows that she's relentless and doesn't give up. She's very passionate about these issues, and she doesn't ever let them go.
And that's what Sarah's out there fighting for. You know, she's fighting for the little guy.